This never fucking happens. Divin gan telling tales because we'll be watching you. All the fucking time.
Jeez, your breath stinks.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Released in 2006, Children of Men is a science fiction film set in a dystopian United Kingdom on the verge of collapse. Based on the P.D. James novel of the same name, this 2027 world we are presented is 18 years removed from the last human birth. Total human infertility has collapsed civilization, toppled governments, and warped the last remaining nation into an Orwellian nightmare. Directed by Alfonso Cuarón, the film is a beautiful blend of imagery, political allegory, symbolism, and just details. Layers of details in every shot. It's simply a spectacle to watch. And that's before we even begin to discuss the single-shot sequences this film is really famed for. Each is a story of its own. But today, I want to explore the ins and outs of a scene I'll be calling Children of Men's The Court of the Crimson King. But first, let's explain. As this is more than just one scene, but a series of them that make up a segment, I've gone ahead and labeled it by the name of the song that introduces it. The Court of the Crimson King, performed by King Crimson, is as much a part as any other in weaving the layers of symbolism that make up the fabric of our topic. Second, we'll be focusing on the broad strokes, major points of imagery and references that help depict the world. Again, there are many details to pick from and even more ways to decipher them, so let's just take a quick peek and enjoy the ride. With that said, what do we see? To start, we begin by taking a ride through the streets of London approaching Admiralty Arch. The streets are overpopulated as xenophobic propaganda flashes on the screen. Demonstrators fill the courtyard under the watchful eyes of a military checkpoint. Hark, the end of days. We pass the gate and into the dreamlike world of an upper society. The Purple Piper plays his tune. The choir softly sing 3 lullabies in an ancient tongue for the court of the Crimson King. From the bandstand to the random zebra and camel being paraded, what is being communicated here is that society, or this portion of it, has given up fighting and are more than happy to ride out the end of days with the comforts of old. We then arrive at the former Battersea Power Station, now functioning as the Ark of the Arts, where Theo, our protagonist, walks in to meet with his cousin Nigel from the ministry. The keeper of the city keys puts shutters on the dreams. I wait outside the pilgrim's door with insufficient schemes. This one is interesting because I find Theo to be both the keeper of the city keys and the one attempting to break free. To start, we are literally shown his Victorian-era keys right before the line is sung. You see, Theo was once an activist, who now is a bureaucrat in the Ministry of Energy. He holds no love for his job, and instead fell into it after years of being battered down by the system. He occupies both worlds, and as such, it's his journey as an anti-hero and his evolving sense of morality that makes Theo a fascinating character to study. But let's go back to that second line, the one that says, "He waits outside the pilgrim's door." Enter Nigel, our pilgrim, who as the head of this program, is in charge of curating the works that will fill the Ark. This, of course, is the opposite of what the word pilgrim means. But this beautiful irony is par for the course if we take stock of all the contradictions and facades we've been shown throughout this segment. Curiously, there's a line in the third verse that, if the song had continued, fit just as well with the next scene. The line goes, "The gardener plants an evergreen, whilst trampling on a flower." The meaning of this line could have been a parallel to the way youth are held up on a pedestal in the fictional world of this story. Society is willing to sacrifice everything to prop up the younger generation. So, it may be a bit of a stretch, but hey, this is only my take. Moving on, the last detail I want to focus on are the contradictions of the art pieces we see inside the Ark. The first piece we see welcoming Theo as he walks into the room. It's Michelangelo's statue of David. The significance here is twofold. David's original intention was to simply be a symbol of the Catholic Church, and taken at face value we can create a parallel to the Ark of the Arts, which by the merits of its own name, we can confidently say was meant to echo the sacredness of this institution. Without getting too bogged down in biblical parallels, David's position at the entrance is fitting to say the least. The second interpretation of this statue, which was adopted by the population of Florence where it once stood, was as a symbol of their liberties. 16th century Florence was an on-again, off-again republic that stood in defiance to the stronger, larger monarchies of the time, or in this case, Goliath. Viewing it from this perspective, we once again are hit by the irony of having this statue that once stood for civil rights now inside a monolithic Church of the Arts that belongs to a regime with little need to honor the rights of the individual. Next is Picasso's Guernica, a large oil painting depicting the horrors from the bombing of Guernica during the Spanish Civil War. It's a powerful anti-war symbol born in the midst of an oppression, which again is juxtaposed by the setting it currently lives in. Stripped of its original meaning, it simply hangs on a wall, serving as a piece of art decor to complement the color scheme of the room. Perhaps my favorite of all, though, is the giant inflatable pig that can be seen floating outside the window above the ark. Fans of Pink Floyd will of course recognize this as the recreation of the Animals album cover. This is a concept album that is based on George Orwell's Animal Farm, which is a fable and satire on communism. Animals, however, is a twist on the concept that now focuses its critique on capitalism. Having such a politically charged symbol flying above the building that itself can be interpreted as oppressive is nothing short of brilliant. Now, we've explored what I consider the broad strokes within these scenes, but before we call it a day, let's quickly take a look at what unifies all these examples. Well, from the facade of the Victorian era among the lives of the rich, or the manner at which symbols of art or youth are stripped away of all meaning but the need for them to be sacred, every example can be identified as empty shells. Even the Ark of the Arts is merely the shell of what it once was, a coal power station. But let's add some context. Construction on the building began before World War II, and its stature can be seen as a symbol of British strength and resilience. And let's just go full circle on this, because in turn, this parallels the slogan that was shown earlier in the film: "Only Britain soldiers on." Thanks again for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving us a thumbs up. It really helps us out a lot. This was an Alpaca Thunder SideBar production. I'm Felipe, signing off.